So this is the start of the Norton Conservation Commission meeting of January 12th, 2026. It is now 6:30. Apologize to everybody because it's been a long time since our last meeting, which was November 24th. Unfortunately, due to people being away. Our members participating tonight, we have all the members that are on the commission currently. Myself, Julian Kadish, Chair, Lisa Carosa, Vice Chair, Dan Pearson, our clerk, and we also have Mark Fernandez, Joe Carvello, and Courtney Miller. We have John Thomas and Megan Hara as our director and assistant. First item on the agenda is minutes from 11/24, and because it's been quite a while, we're just going to go through that as review. That meeting opened discussing 92 East Main Street as a violation. During that meeting, that enforcement order was lifted, and that's going to, that actually was presented as a, did you actually have a hearing point for that one, or not? The 92 East Main Street?
You voted to issue that, so
So that was last meeting?
that was last.
That was in this one, okay. 181 East Main Street is, I believe, either going to come up tonight or that is in discussion. Abreu Lane, we're going to be issuing an order of conditions for that tonight.
They actually requested a continuance.
Oh, they did?
Yeah,
Oh,
they have to make some,
to the,
they spoke to the planning board and they have to make some adjustments to the plan set,
okay,
so they requested a continuance instead.
okay. And 10 Robinson Lane, we closed that hearing and issued an order of conditions last time. 65 Hill Street was a single-family dwelling. We closed that hearing and issued an order. 63 Hill Street, same issue. These were the drain houses that had a shared private drain line that had to be dealt with the highway department. And 13 Downing Drive, we're going to close today and issue an order. 378 Old Colony Road, we're also going to close today and issue an order. 0 Mansfield Avenue, we closed 2 open orders where no work had been done, and that project will be before us in a different form today, slightly different form. And the orders of conditions we've already discussed. So with that reviewed, any comments from commission members, any corrections? And if not, we can consider a motion to approve the minutes of November 24th.
Dan's muted.
Dan, you're speaking, but you're muted.
Sorry, just one thing. Top of page 3, there is, let's see, second bullet down from the top, department update. Thomas State's new project has come into the blank.
Mine says the office.
Oh,
Well, it doesn't show on mine either, so I don't know why.
well, I guess it's all right. If,
Well, if it's in,
on
this
yours,
may be a Google Drive issue.
Well, either way, I'll double check that it says the office.
Okay. And that's all I had.
Ready for a motion?
So moved?
Second.
Dan, was that you that moved it?
That was Mark.
Oh, it was Mark, okay, you just, got your mic off really fast, all right. So, motion by Mark, and I lost who the second one, Joe?
Joe.
Joe, okay, second by Joe. Roll call vote, starting with Courtney, Dan, and Mark.
Aye.
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 Lisa and Joe,
Aye. Aye.
and I'll throw in an aye, motion carries. Our next item, is violations 181 West Main Street. Do we have anything new tonight, or?
I think Sophie has some stuff. I'm just
Okay.
going to make her a co-host so that way she can share her screen.
Okay.
Thank you, John. So my name is Sophie Esdale, and I'm a wetland scientist with Goddard Consulting, representing the property owner Hitesh Patel for the violation notice on 181 West Main Street. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Are you all able to see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So since the last hearing on November 24th, we did submit a checklist to the commission as requested that detailed certain submittal deadlines working towards a mitigation plan. We had also submitted a quantification of riverfront area impacts and buffer zone impacts. This was submitted on December 15th, and we have submitted a riverfront area performance standard and mitigation plan this past Friday on January 9th. So for the quantification of impacts, we did look at historic aerials from MassDOT Pictometry and MassGIS. We also reference photographs that were taken during the November 20th site visit. So we did see there was some vegetative disturbance towards the northwest and east of the existing commercial building that existed prior to the 1996 regulations being put into place, so these were not included in the quantification. We did run through some aerials within the quantification, but I know this is a bit tough to see, but this is a 1990 aerial. You can see a bit of vegetative clearing here over in this section and in the front of, or the rear of the building. So this purple area here is what we quantified for the vegetative disturbance slash impact since the 1996 regulations were put into place. We also quantified the impacts of the existing stone barbecue area shown in orange here and the newly constructed concrete patio shown in orange here. So the total impacts that were unpermitted within the riverfront area and buffer zone is about 7,182 square feet. So we also proposed a mitigation planting plan as required with the violation notice. This included a 2-to-1 ratio at 14,364 square feet in compliance with the mitigation integrated riverfront area performance standards. So within this area, we did section out a section where the existing septic tank is. Unfortunately, we don't know the exact location of the leaching field, but did estimate it based on a 30-foot radius from the septic tank. So this area will not be planted. So the entire 14,386 square feet area will be seeded with New England Conservation seed mix, and we'll also have a natural loam topsoil placed and then seeded with that mix. We proposed about 33 trees, which include striped maple, flowering dogwood, red oak, and American hop hornbeam, and 100 shrubs, which include serviceberry, black huckleberry, Carolina rose, low bush blueberry, and witch hazel. So at this point, I'd be happy to discuss this further with the commission. Any questions or comments on the mitigation plan?
So this is going to be submitted as a notice at some point, is that correct?
So we are looking to potentially replace the septic tank down the line if it is determined to be failing. So we would get the notice of intent permitted with an order of conditions and then do the plantings to avoid any damage to the plantings.
So, John, is this under an enforcement order or is it just a violation?
It's a violation right now.
So we don't have to lift any enforcement order?
There's no active enforcement order on the property.
Okay, so they would potentially, when springtime comes, just proceed to plant this and then submit their notice?
I think it's in the best interest of the applicant and their consultant to do that anyway in the springtime. Whether that be a NOI for restoration, because you have a very narrow window of opportunity to actually get this done. I mean, we're seeing it now on a couple of projects where things have been done without proper approvals, and there's a very narrow window to kind of basically secure that footprint for making sure those plants get established and making sure that the seeds germinate. And then there's a 2-year monitoring plan that goes along with that. So I think, I hear the fact that they're, talking about the, potential replacement of the septic system, but that is ancillary to what is currently out there right now. So I think the commission should be either requesting a notice of intent for this wetland mitigation effort, or if they want to go forward with the septic repair, they go for that and they push for that as well. And that should be done sooner rather than later, because April's coming upon us and they need to get all these plantings, got to make sure that the consultants or whoever they're going to be getting for the supplier is going to have all these plants, because it's a lot of plants that they just listed off. So, they might need to get replacements, they might need to get other inventory or other kind of species established, and then they have to come back in front of the commission to get approval for that. So I think just to make sure that the transition goes seamlessly, they should move towards making this a valiant effort to kind of get this done sooner rather than later, at least prep it.
So, Sophie, I assume you distilled down the general thought that putting together a notice of intent sounds like the next step before springtime is upon us.
Yes, yeah, and we're actively working to get the septic figured out too, so we can hopefully include that in there. But we are working towards the plantings in late March to early April.
All right, any other
I have a
comments?
question.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
I see there's no access for fire or anything here around the back of this building. I'm just questioning why we kind of left some of that out.
Well, Joe, I think right now we're looking at a violation and not a formal notice.
But seeing some of these trees and plantings here, if this is kind of the thought process here, we're blocking access also.
And Sophie, I would agree that that's gonna need to be considered in your restoration.
Yes, we can definitely account for that. It is a bit of a tight space with the amount of mitigation we have to do with the 2-to-1 ratio, but we can definitely try to work in fire access in there, of course.
Any other questions from the commission members?
So, I think it would be helpful if you could get the septic approved at the same time, because otherwise you're just gonna compromise what you just planted, right? So ideally, you want the septic approval in the notice of intent. So in the end, what is going to be the impact or percentage of degraded in the riverfront?
Degraded riverfront, I believe it's about 65%. I can look back at the calculations, but this is also accounting for the area of the commercial building that's already existing, the parking lot that was existing prior to 1996, the previous vegetation clearance, and then the area that has recently been impacted.
Okay, so in the end, when you walk away, you'll have in excess of the 10% allowed, because some of it was grandfathered, correct?
Yes.
Okay, So I would ask that you make that really clear in the notice of intent. Those figures, what was grandfathered, what's new, what's, and what the end result is in terms of percentage of riverfront.
Yes, absolutely. And for reference of the commission and the quantification, we did run through the aerials and separated out what was grandfathered and not. So we'll definitely make sure to include that in the notice of intent.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
I would just add the snippet that you should have an exhibit similar to what you have here, but showing the degraded areas and the more naturalized areas, and to aid into Lisa's comments that she just had, because a visual of that would help the commission immensely be able to decipher all the riverfront calculations on top of just seeing it visually. So.
Yes, absolutely.
So, John, technically, this is not a public hearing, but do you entertain audience questions?
I mean, the audience can definitely ask. This is more of a discussion because it's an acting violation.
Okay.
There's nothing really for open, I guess, on the table because we don't have a permit in front of us as of right now.
All right. So, anybody have a burning question they want to ask? If not, we're going to move on to the next item on the agenda. Are there any
Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Arroyo Lane requested
The continuance, yes.
continuance until,
The next meeting.
So January 23rd, I believe.
the 26th maybe.
Yes, 26th.
All right,
I'll
so
make a motion to continue that.
Second.
we have a motion by Lisa, seconded by Dan, roll call vote, Courtney, Dan, and Mark. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. And Lisa and Joe,
Aye.
Aye.
and also an aye. So that was the trail. Anything under public inquiries and department updates that we discuss?
I have quite a bit actually since we've had some time off, so I'm just gonna try to go through these as quick as possible. We have our 5-year community rating system update this year. It's basically an audit with a couple representatives from CRM and also, not CRM, community floodplain managers and also FEMA are gonna get together. That's on March 4th. We just submitted 2 one-stop grants, 2 culvert replacement projects, one on West Hodges Street and one on Pine Street. That pre-meeting scheduled is for this January 14th. Put those in for the deadline on January 9th. Hopefully we get one of them at least. We have 2 trail improvement projects happening in town. We're gonna be looking at enhancing the trail system over at Johnson Acres and investigating some potential of the Shoreway property that abuts the Norton Reservoir. We have an intern starting with the department on January 21st. Kaya Sahin, Stonehill College student, looking to enhance his expertise in the environmental field. He's going to focus on construction monitoring and environmental wetland assessments with myself. So he's going to work Monday and Wednesday until April 24th, I think it is. And that's going to be in the afternoons. I'm going to take him on our inspections and try to teach him as much as I possibly can. And also, lastly, we still need some wedding signatures from some of the members, so if you could stop by the office, that would be great if you haven't signed yet. So that's it.
Okay. Thank you. So we dealt with file number 250-1191 of Bay Lane. Next item is a continued public hearing, 378 Old Colony Road. I believe we completed collecting all the necessary information, and we potentially can close that public hearing before we issue an order later in the meeting.
I'll make a motion, close public hearing for 250-1193.
Second.
We have a motion by Lisa, seconded by Joe. Courtney, Dan, and Mark, vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Joe and Lisa,
Aye.
Aye.
and also an aye, the motion carries. Next item is file number 250-1194, 13 Downing Drive. Again, we collected all the information about construction of an in-ground pool, and I believe we can consider a motion to close this hearing.
So motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Courtney, seconded by Mark. Courtney, Dan, and Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
And Joe and Lisa, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye, motion carries. Last of continued public hearings is file number 250-1180, 61 West Main Street. That discusses the construction or reconstruction of what is now, I believe, Kennedy Donuts site. And again, we collected all the information and can consider a motion to close.
I'll make a motion to close public hearing for file 250-1180.
Second.
Seconded.
We have a motion by Lisa, second by Joe. Courtney, you lost it by a few milliseconds. By Courtney, Dan, and Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Dan, you're frozen, it looks like, but you have a check mark. Joe and Lisa?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll throw in an aye. So, Dan?
Aye.
Okay, there we go. All right, fair enough. Motion carried. So we're now in our new public hearings. The first one is file number 250-1195, 93 King Philip Road, involving proposed work for general restoration. Do we have a representative of the applicant?
Yes, sir.
So please, actually, you're gonna bring up, but I guess he doesn't need a microphone. Can everybody hear him? But first identify yourself.
Michael Cahill.
Come up here.
Yeah, sure.
Consider the most intent or the restoration plan, which was the ski stand. Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, Mass DEP, EEA has has seen the notice of intent. My understanding is there were no holdups on that side. It's been submitted. We produced it with ECR, and presently you all have had it, I understand, for review, and I'm just here to see if you had any questions about it.
All right, so, John, you want to make any comments before we open it up to the commission?
Yeah, so mainly what this, if everyone is understanding of this project, this is in light of that violation that happened at 93 King Philip. What transpired out of that was a notice of intent application to really, get into them wanting to, enhance this property, but also do it in an environmental kind of sensitive way. So what they're looking to do is they're looking to remove the retaining walls that have kind of all, I guess, past their prime, per se, because they're all dilapidated and there's lots of cracks. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna replace them with the environmental sensitive core logs, which you can see a diagram in the left here, that kind of shows kind of the cross-section of how they're installed and what their intended use is
Sorry,
for.
can somebody share screen? We're not seeing anything.
Oh, sorry, Lisa. That was my fault.
Okay.
I got confused too.
I was like, all right, I guess we're just gonna talk about it.
I definitely
Okay.
forgot. I definitely forgot to share screen. There we go. Okay, now you can see it.
All right, here we go.
Are we good?
Yep.
Okay, great. So do you want me to go over that all again, or are we good?
No, I would just start out with what's proposed.
Yeah, so what they're looking to do is they're looking to remove the retaining wall, and they're gonna replace it with these core logs, and the details here on what they're looking to do. I've seen these, done, if they're done properly, they come out pretty well. on coastal projects and whatnot, but along embankments and water bodies and things of that nature. I've seen them. Is ECR gonna be doing the work? Are you gonna have another contractor doing it?
Zach's, construction company, actually Zach,
Okay. Is Brad gonna be overseeing the work?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. As long as Brad is overseeing the work.
Yeah.
Zach can do the construction.
Yeah.
Just a quick question about
Sure.
the long term of these solar logs. They become vegetated and stabilized with long-term vegetation?
Yeah, the intent is for it to have a more natural transition, so they're supposed to be used as an embankment stabilizer, but a lot of people have been using them for actual enhancement purposes, and what happens over time, if they're done correctly, they will take root of certain vegetation to keep that bank stabilized over a more significant time. And I think that's the purpose here, is to get away from the concrete retaining
Yeah,
wall
exactly.
format, but have it more of a natural embankment.
It becomes integrated into the, not the facade, but the embankment.
Do you see it with anything that would get the long-term vegetation, give it a?
And no, they're anchored into position.
Yeah.
It's like a engineered
So
compost material.
So they basically are seeded by the neighboring wetlands?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I'm sure Brad could give a better explanation of this, but he does this more than.
Yeah,
I know in this area.
and they're the higher cost alternative for sure, but he was pretty insistent on them being installed, so that's what we're going with.
But presumably, because this will be a, kind of a biological barrier, if it gets damaged, it repairs itself by renewed growth. So in the long term, it may be cheaper.
That's correct, yeah, but it's definitely the long-term solution.
And I will remind the commission that there will be a 2-year monitoring plan associated with the issuance of any order of conditions with this project. So if there are any sort of hiccups or any sort of issues with the stabilization of the embankment, the applicant and the landowner will have to fix them. So over that 2-year
John,
span.
I would just add to that, so you just have to make sure that these things can degrade over time. And sometimes the more times they're exposed, like if the water is at a higher level, they can degrade. So I would ask for a 3-year monitoring period, just to make sure
Okay,
that they don't degrade prior to the establishment of the root and the vegetation.
I think that's fair. 3 years sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so actually, we're kind of at the stage where any other questions from commission members, we're open for that.
I have a small one.
Yeah, go ahead.
In the use of these logs, are we doing some elevation changes? It's kind of hard to see here on the plan. Is there any swaling or anything that's happening where these logs are going in? It's, that's my belief that, they're just a coconut fiber encapsulation.
Right, so, did you say elevation change?
Correct.
No, that wasn't the plan, it was basically to, remove.
They're gonna stake on grade, basically?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Leave them like a sediment control?
Right,
Yeah, but
and,
they're stepped up, Joe. They're stepped up, just like retaining wall, right? It's
That's why I'm asking if there's a change of grade here, because I see the stepping.
that
Yeah, there
was,
definitely is. Think of it as taking the place of the retaining wall. It's just probably at like a 2-to-1 slope instead of a vertical slope.
that's right.
Yeah, that's kind of why I wonder if just throwing some normal wetland species seeds on top of them will promote stabilization much faster, but.
Yeah, you usually do see the seed mix, Julian, thrown in there so that as they degrade, the seed pops, and then it takes the vegetation takes the place of the core log.
Yeah.
So,
But I assume it would be more than just wildflower mix, I assume it would be,
It's gonna be something that's a little bit more hardy.
yes.
yeah.
So in the event of collapse here, what's the stabilization plan?
Well, they should have more core logs on hand to replace any sections that are in disrepair or need attention during, let's say, some sort of weather storm or something like that. They should have more core logs, like for instance, we would have, for contractors, they would have to have more sediment controls on site. They should probably have more core logs available in the event that they had to make repairs to that system, and they could basically just insert those maintenance sections like they would sediment controls.
But I would just comment, it would depend normally on the prevailing winds, because what would degrade this is if you had directly oncoming waves. And where this is on Winnicott, it generally doesn't face that. If anything, the wind normally would either go tangentially or even offshore. So I think this installation is likely not to be degraded during the time it's getting stabilized.
Right, and it's a fair distance from the water line too.
All right, any further questions from commission members? Anyone in the meeting have any questions? And I don't know how many we have on Zoom, but if you're on Zoom and want to ask a question, you can go to the reaction button and raise your hand, or just take your mic off mute and ask a question. But hearing none, I think we can consider now. Our next meeting is 2 weeks away, so I think we're all set to either close or continue until we close an issue.
I mean, I can work on drafting up an order if the applicant wants to hold off on closing, but I mean, or we can close and issue an order at the next meeting. It's at the discretion of the commission.
Yeah, we normally don't close until we have order conditions in hand, and we close an issue.
Okay.
So if you have any problem with just continuing, and then
No,
we'll
that's fine.
close next meeting. And
Yeah.
issue. All right, so I think we can entertain a motion to continue 93 King Philip Road until the 26th, is it?
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion.
Second.
Motion by Lisa, and I think second. So Dan, Mark, and Joe, how do you vote?
Aye.
And, and we got 3 ayes there, Lisa and Courtney,
Aye.
Aye.
and I'll throw in an aye, motion carries, thank you. 0 Mansfield Avenue is a rebirth of a project at the intersection of Reservoir Street and Mansfield Avenue. And we have a representative of the applicant.
And the engineer, we have 2 here.
Okay, well, why don't you guys introduce yourself, and I think we can bring up a plan here for the Zoom members, and you have however you want to do it.
Just checking it up on the screen, it's fine. My name is Jack Jacoby, I'm an attorney with offices at 144 Bank Street in Attleboro. I represent the applicant.
Phil Cordero, Allen and Major Associates, principal of the business address at 10 Main Street in Lakeville.
So what I'd like to do at the beginning is review a little history to bring everyone up to date. So you may or may not remember, but quite some time ago, has to be more than a year, I think, we presented a project to you for this site, which consisted of 60 units. It was 2 buildings, and this commission issued an order of conditions, approved the stormwater, and just waiting for him to get this stuff done. And then the planning board voted 4-3 in favor of approving the site plan review, but the 4-3 vote in favor of the special permit for the multifamily building needed 5 votes, so it failed. We appealed that to the Superior Court, and over the course of some time, had some conversations with town council, and there were certain requests that were made of us in exchange for having the court remand it to the planning board for further hearings. So what we did was that we cleaned up the orders that you had issued at your last meeting, because those were never acted on. So now we're here new for a very, very similar project. We have been in front of the planning board, and they have deferred further action until this board acts. And I think it's important that the same plan be in front of both boards, so we wanted to make sure that we were proceeding with you appropriately before they took any final action.
Yeah, before we get to the bigger scale plan, I just want to clarify the exact spot this is on that stretch of Mansfield Avenue. It appears that Produce Barn and Hardware Barn businesses directly across from one of the buildings, and then Mass Gas and that other facility next to it is close to opposite the other.
You're correct. And so what the planning board asked us to do was to agree that the town's 10% affordability requirement would apply to this project, even though there's some questions as to the way your bylaw is written, and we agreed to that. They also asked that we make sure that we extend the sidewalk all along the frontage, all the way down to the intersection of Reservoir, and we agreed to that as well. And the third thing that they asked for was that the third lot, which we call Lot E, which is the, you show it up with your cursor.
So it's this lot right here.
Yeah,
and everyone
that
see
lot
this?
right there. So they asked that we donate that to the town so that it could be forever preserved as open space. And we semi-agreed to that. So let me explain to you what that means. What that means
Just for
is,
clarification, does that include the triangular piece?
that's the triangular piece that I'm talking about. That's
Only
lot
the
E.
triangular piece,
So
not
if you
the little.
look at the left building, that's lot C. The middle building is lot D.
E.
And then the right-hand one is lot
This is
E.
all E.
All right, sorry.
And so, obviously, economics drives everything. And in order to make this project work economically, with giving up Lot E, we needed to increase this to 2 buildings of 36 units each, or 72 instead of 60. So that's the major change that you're gonna see, is that one of the buildings is longer than it was the first time you saw this. In order to do that, however, we needed to use a small piece of Lot E for parking on this site. And so what we did, and Phil will take you through the plans and show you everything, I'm actually here. Perhaps, yeah,
This.
you can see a little bit better there. We needed a small portion of Lot E in order to make it work for parking. And so we resubmitted this plan, and that's the plan that's before you. It's also the plan that's before the planning board. So we then held a number of discussions with the town planner, with your conservation director, and indirectly with the town manager as to the donation of Lot E. And the suggestion was made by all of them that they did not want to take title to Lot E, but would rather that we, as a condition of approval by both you and the planning board, is that we agree to deed restrict it, so that it could not ever be built on other than the small area we need for the parking. And that way, we would continue to own it, continue to have the liability for it, continue to pay taxes on it, but the town would get the benefit of it never being built on. And so that is the third item that we agreed to, and that's what we have been working towards with the planning board. The idea is that we would work out a deed restriction in perpetuity in favor of the town with town council, assuming that it was approved. And that would be a condition that that be recorded.
So from the perspective of conservation, we're primarily looking at stormwater and any kind of drainage into adjoining wetlands. And I just want to emphasize what you haven't mentioned now, and that is this project depends on being on a sewer line, is that correct?
Yeah, so Phil's gonna talk about that, but our intention, and we're working with the water and sewer commissioners on this, is to bring the sewer line all the way from the center of town, all the way down to the site. And that's, how many linear feet?
Or 2,000.
About 2,000. And we've had a number of discussions with the water and sewer commissioners. This is in their master plan to extend the sewer here. They don't have the funds to do that now. So this would actually be of some benefit. One of the things that I know a number of neighbors asked about was at the last hearing, as well as the ones we've had this time, is whether they would be required to connect to the sewer. The answer is no. There is a town bylaw that says that you do not have to connect unless your system fails. If your system fails, your septic system, then you can be required to connect to this, but you would not have to abandon your system and connect to this sewer at this time. There is an exception to that, however, which is that if you're located so far from the street, your house is, that it would be an economic hardship, you can get a waiver from the sewer commissioners and reestablish your septic system. But the general rule is when your system fails, that's when you connect. So the other thing that I wanted to bring to your attention, which was the last time, the question was, do the buildings go where they are, or do they go right up next to the street? Is the parking lot next to the street, or is it behind the buildings? So in this zone, there are guidelines in the bylaw that say that the building should be on the street and the parking lot should be behind. But those are only guidelines, and they can be overridden. The planning board, the last time, at least on the site plan and the positive vote, that wasn't enough, agreed that we should do it this way with the keeping the buildings away from the no-touch zone and basically using them to protect the wetlands and keeping the parking lot along the street. And the planning board has again inquired as to whether that is the Conservation Commission's view of how this should be developed. And we would hope that you would agree again that this is the proper way to do things, despite the guidelines that protecting the wetlands is the key here. I know that we have a memo that your director wrote that we shared with the planning board that suggested there were a number of reasons why it was better to do it this way than to have the parking lots in the rear. I'll let him speak for himself. But that is, in essence, that's the same as last time, but again, the planning board is questioning whether that is the environmentally sound way to develop this property. So that's what I had to say. I'd like to let Phil say what I haven't said and to explain the project to you, the wetlands and where it's located. And certainly, I'm sure John will chime in at some point. Well, the parking lots are in front of the back.
Nope, this is your presentation.
Okay. You good?
I'm good.
So Jack covered a lot of the material, so I'm just gonna touch upon them very quickly. I'll get into some detail on the stormwater and then certainly open it up to questions. John, if you wouldn't mind, the easiest thing, could you go to page 2 of this plan set since you're driving the bus?
Sure. 2 of this plan set.
I just want to close the loop. Keep going. Right there, that plan right there. It's a little out of sequence in terms of what I'm going to narrate, but I do want to dovetail into what Jack outlined. So the previous applications that this commission saw for the 60 units existed on lot C and lot D, and lot E was by and large untouched. The reason we're here is that even though we maintained the general same limit of work line, because of our extension into Lot E, which I'll show you in a moment on the plans, that's why we are here, is because there is new work that this commission had not seen. This plan illustrates the applicant's commitment to creating the conservation preservation area. It's a little light and possibly difficult to see, but it is our intent that Lot C will continue, Lots D and E will be consolidated into Lot D, and on Lot D will be 3.4 acres of that land that Jack referred to as conservation preservation area. It's on the right side of the triangle with the lightly drawn crosshatch pattern, just to give the commission a flavor as to where that area is more particularly drawn.
And if I can jump in, there is a zoning reason for this, which is that if we had only parking as the principal use on Lot E, then that would be a zoning violation. So we had to combine D and E together into one lot, which is pending before the planning board, so that we could then have the parking as accessory to the building, which is what parking is.
Right, ideally the goal under planning was to consolidate all of it into a single lot, but with two principal structures supported by the parking, we need to maintain them as two separate lots. So we will have Lot C and Lot D, and on Lot D will be that conservation preservation area. Okay. If you wouldn't mind then scrolling down further onto the plan set, I'll let you know when to stop. Keep going, sir, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Right here is the good plan. So this is the layout plan by and large. It's the same as what the commission had seen. Going left to right is Lot C and Lot D, two parallel buildings, each 36 units. The one on the right is longer than the original plan that the Conservation Commission had seen prior. And then obviously we extended sort of that appendage on the right side of the screen. That's the projection into what was then still known as, for the moment today, Lot E, but ultimately will be consolidated into E. It's to allow for adequacy of parking and some parking structures. Along the page north side of this plan, that is the bordering vegetated wetland. The plan that's in front of the commission for consideration tonight is a buffer zone only based project. We have ensured to make sure we maintain the minimum 25 feet off of the BBW line as subscribed by the bylaw. And in cases, specifically building B, which is the building on the right side, we do require two retaining walls to support that building and not encroach within that 25-foot buffer zone. We have made sure that those walls, which will be segmental block, can be constructed. Their face of the wall is approximately 27 feet off of the wetland boundary, far enough back that we can install our erosion and sediment control measures along that BBW resource area boundary, and then build the wall up, which will essentially be a fill wall. So we are confident that we do not need to come back in front of this commission and ask for any more encroachment, any more proximity to build the wall as shown on the plan here on. Now, Jack alluded to the layout, which is the same in that the parking remains in the front of the site, as preferenced by the previous applications. We did get some questions from the planning board as to why, given how the bylaw is written, but we obviously assert that we understand why the commission would see this as a benefit, which is you have a permanent stabilization approach with those buildings closer to the resource area boundary. You have your lawn area closest to the resource area boundary. All of our hot centers, vehicle movement, pollutants, oils, etc., snow management, those will all now occur as far away from the resource areas as we can. And everything that's on that parking tray will be captured by a stormwater management system that has to be required to handle the runoff condition in this location and provide adequate treatment in accordance with stormwater management standards. John, if you'd be kind enough to advance 2 pages, please. Right here, sir. So this is our grading and drainage plan. We provide it to you as being in keeping with all of the requirements of the stormwater management handbook and any town of Milton-based requirements. Everything that is constructed on site is collected through a series of deep sump and hooded catch basins, routed through a water quality device. Those afford us total suspended solids removal prior to going into a centralized infiltration basin in the area that we have between the two buildings. That gives us our required recharge volume, it gives us our peak rate of runoff reduction, it gives us our peak volume reduction, it gives us our phosphorus removal, and then the ultimate overflow from that stormwater basin will then drain towards the wetland resource area as it does today. All of those calculations which are included in the notice of intent were included with the special permit and site plan review applications that's in front of the planning board. They engaged PGM Engineering, Pat Brennan, to do his peer review. We have completed that peer review. We have satisfied all of those technical requirements, and we're hopeful that the commission can rely upon those findings as we talk about stormwater here in this forum. In terms of the area behind Building A, which is that left building, we obviously do want to have some green space available to the residents for the 72 units that are here. So there is a projection to have just some flat green space and then a transitional slope down to the resource area. Again, no encroachment within the 25-foot area zone. The basin that you see there is about 54 feet off of the resource area boundary. So we are proposing an impervious liner on the downstream side of it. We want to make sure that there is no opportunity for breakout, there's no opportunity for any unintended consequence of building a basin that's close to a resource area and water runoff into that zone. So that was, again, all worked through with Pat Brennan in terms of what our intentions are and how not only can we meet the stormwater standards, we can make sure that the Wetlands Protection Act is protected here as well.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
Those are 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 slopes?
3-to-1 slopes. 3-to-1. Because we believe those can be stabilized easily with grasses. They can grow in very quickly, and they're manicurable, so we can cut the grass without any heroic, extraordinary measures in order to do that.
Yeah.
So we did want to make sure those were 3-to-1 through there. The retaining walls, to get into the metrics, those are about 6 feet in height, just to give the commission a scale as to what we're going to be constructing adjacent to Building B. They will be equipped with fall protection. We'll put a rail on top of them to make sure nobody falls down. John, if I could ask you to scroll actually up now, go back 2 pages, please. I'm sorry to keep sending you in circles.
No, it's all right. That's what
Right here on this plan here, we do also want to make note, if you look in the upper left corner, we have some note, it says proposed signage every 50 feet along the 25. Thank you for highlighting it. So we do want to make sure and highlight to the commission that we do have signposts that will be placed along the buffer zone line to bear the placards that the Norton Conservation Commission would like us to put on there. Those are spaced about every 50, 75 feet along the entirety of that line, just to alert the residents here that that is a conservation zone. I did mention at the outset, snow storage. We did designate snow storage in the front of the site. There's a crosshatch pattern, might be sort of difficult to see on this zone, on this plan at this depth, but it is there. Now the snow storage is fairly minimal in that we're trying to balance the needs of the development, the fact that we are sort of encapsulated in a tight area of at the street level. We do need to make sure there's adequate landscaping here in compliance with zoning and not let the snow storage compromise our landscaping. So what we have asserted to the planning board, we'll assert here to the commission, is the applicant has agreed to and subscribes to the DEP policy relative to snow removal, which is we have limited area available on site. We will use the areas at the front of the site for snow storage where it may impede vehicular circulation, site distances. We will remove that as expediently as we can, and any snow removal from the site goes to areas deemed acceptable under the DEP policy. So in no case will we use our conservation area to store snow, will we not push it into the basin, we will not push it into the resource areas. So we will take it off-site and make sure it's handled properly. As Jack mentioned, fully serviced by municipal utilities here. So one of the things that you will not see is a septic system. So the applicant is bearing the responsibility of a 2,000-foot sewer extension that will not only be for the benefit of this project, but will be absorbed by the town of Norton, the DPW, the sewer commissioners, that will afford the town the opportunity to connect other users into the line that will go from this site all the way down to Library Square at the center of town. We are detailing the final program on the sewer with the sewer commissioners. So that work is ongoing. That work will probably take place maybe outside of the confines of the planning board and the conservation commission, since the sewer commission is the one responsible for ensuring we have the right specifications in place. So that will continue. But all totaled, we can avoid having a septic system here on this site, and we can take it down to an area where the town can handle the sewage. We have water, we have electric, we have adequate circulation for our emergency apparatus vehicles, all elements that are sort of born from the planning and zoning environment, but they do inform how we designed this site and can make sure we meet all of the requirements for the Conservation Commission. I'm happy to go into greater detail.
Let me add one more item, which the planning board asked. This is not a condominium project, this is a rental project. Our client, Discern, intends to hold the project, to own it, to manage it. So questions always arise, about making sure that the orders are enforceable, that the maintenance occurs. And so with our client, a long and well-established company, will be continuing to be responsible for this project.
Thank you. So any questions of the commission?
It sounds like it would be a good time to avoid the center of Norton when that sewer line is being put in there.
It's actually, as I understand it, the design is run along the side of the road, not down the middle of the road, which will still be an impact, but not as
They're
great.
still gonna have all the trucks, you're gonna have Mass DOT personnel, it's still gonna be a fun one.
It is not without its challenges.
I mean, I avoid the center of town now when I can, but that's another issue.
But the benefits will outweigh the temporary construction.
All right, so questions among commission members?
Bunch. Can we go to the grading plan, please?
What is that?
Forward 2 points.
So, I understand this is gonna be a fill. How much fill are you bringing in?
I think we're in the order of 15,000 yards plus or minus. That's fill to support the gravel base, that's the structural fill below the building. So that's everything to get from existing grade to finished grade, once you've stripped off the organics that are there.
Okay, so about how many feet is that? So your first floor elevation is, I can't read it,
So
not zoomed in. Anyway,
right, so this is actually a particularly fine point. It actually came up in the planning board environment that I do want to be very specific with my words to try to paint as clear a picture as possible. Those two buildings, as you see them, will be about 1.5 feet above the elevation of corresponding Mansfield Avenue. So it is not rising a whole lot. But the site, as it currently exists, drops down quite dramatically once you get off the shoulder of the road. So there's approximately 5 to 6 feet of fill under that building zone, that rear zone of the site, which is what we're pushing out into those transitional slopes that you see on plan north side of the screen, and ultimately creates that retaining wall.
okay. Was there any thought given to shifting the building on the right over, I don't know where Plan North is, I'm gonna say Plan North is up the page. Any thought to shifting that building to the west to eliminate some of that grading and potentially the wall? And does that give you any, this seems like there's a little bit more room right where the detention basin is, to maybe get those buildings closer together and put the detention basin on the other side? No idea, but I'm just asking.
So there was consideration, but it was a balance between a number of different factors. One is ostensibly, we wanted to bring the plans back in front of the planning board and the conservation commission reasonably as they were approved, and just adding the additional detailing without reinventing the wheel here. We don't want to bring the buildings close together. These are 3-story buildings, but we do want to make sure that there is separation between those, just for residential feel, sort of, user enjoyment, if you will. Moving it, what I'll call to the right, sort of absorbing Lot E a little bit further. The fact that we didn't do that was really born from the original notion, which was we were donating as much of Lot E to the town under conservation preservation. Now, we're obviously retaining Lot E at the preference to the town administrator, but we really wanted to maximize that conservation preservation area by not sort of splaying the project out any further down Mansfield Avenue. And then the last reason is splaying it further down Mansfield Avenue. The entrance that you see there, the rightmost entrance, probably would want to walk down with it, which we didn't want to bring it much closer to the Reservoir Street intersection. So sort of a conglomeration of all of those individual reasons together.
Okay, thank you. So is that open space gonna be open to the public, and how would they access it? Is there any parking available, or is it just for the neighborhood?
So it is not open space that is going to be signed and noted to be open for the public, but we're not going to actively chase anybody out of there either. That was really born of the discussion we had at the technical department head meeting as to whether you wanted land area that you would advertise as open space for the public. Because we are retaining the ownership of it, we cannot advocate for public openness. So we can
Okay, so it's just gonna
reserve
remain.
it.
Yep, okay, I got it. Let's talk about your wall. Do you have a wall detail?
We have on our plan set, it's a standard typical segmental wall detail, so it is very much not
Okay.
custom to this site. It's just indicative of what we would likely build. It'll be at the very end. Keep going, sir. Right there, right in the middle of that page.
Oh, I see it. Okay, so what you're showing in Plan View is at the top of the wall or the bottom of the wall? So in other words, you're gonna have enough room in between, you're showing us the top in Plan View, or you're showing us the toe, and do you have enough room to build it there at the 25 foot?
So we are showing you the face of the wall, which would be
Yeah.
the toe, the bottom of the wall, to make sure we have enough room to build it. And we heard that messaging loud and clear, which is, if we're showing it, make sure we can build it so we're not coming back to ask you for a foot or two later on. So
Okay.
we tweaked through that during the design phase.
Okay, so I would ask, if you don't know if this is I know this is a representative wall, gets the point across. So Thomas might just want to add a condition that says, if the contractor elects to change the wall type, they need to notify us or give us a plan for the record. So let's also talk about your snow storage area.
If I
I
may,
understand.
before you step off of the retaining wall, I apologize for interrupting. I'll note that these walls are greater than 4 feet, so they will require building permits. So we do have to go through all of the motions, so you'll see
Okay.
cut sheets and details on those walls. All right, please.
Okay. So if we can go to the snow storage area, I understand it's really tight, but where you have them is extremely awkward for a plow, because they're gonna have the back end of the truck to the building, and they're gonna be plowing forward, which is not typically how it's done. So it's gonna be very awkward, you're not gonna be able to catch much of it, and where do those people park? So is there garage space for every unit?
No, there's not garage spaces for every unit. We only have the 3 garages, so those are amenity based. For those who wish to upgrade to have indoor vehicle storage or sometimes some extra storage. We agree with you. We understand that it's a very linear based site, and it is counterintuitive to snow plowing mechanics, especially snow plowing that occurs at 3 o'clock in the morning, and the plow driver's been on 6 coffees and hasn't had sleep in a couple of days. We do need to identify, reasonable areas that we can do some accommodations. And that's why I do want to point out very specifically that given the site constraints and the challenges, we would temporarily snow plow probably to long ends of the runs, as you indicated, because we need to make sure emergency apparatus vehicles can get into this site all the time. So there might be long runs of snow plowing where it may move from page left to page right and be stored down there where the garages are located and our dumpster enclosures are as part of our property maintenance operations. And then it has to be removed from the site. So there's some operational challenges that we, the applicant, the design team, the operations team, will work through, as the site comes up and out of the ground.
So I would assume then that you would put forth a robust O&M plan. So, for instance, how does we'll say that the management company know when they have to take the material off-site? Because we're not going to be policing these operations. So how do we know that the management company knows when they have to start, which is expensive to truck it off-site, and they're not going to want to do it?
We agree.
That's a lot of money.
We agree. So there's going to be some inherent thresholds that any property management group will be made aware of from the jump. And the first one is if there's a scenario that we can't get emergency access in here, emergency vehicles, that's a problem. That's a signal. Number two is we can't underutilize the parking that's required per zoning. So we have a few extra spaces available to us, but we can't fall underneath zoning just for strict compliance. That's number two. So if either one of those conditions are met, ops will be made aware to take it off-site. Number three is safety for our residents as they're leaving the property. We can't have any snow piles that impede sightlines for traffic turning onto Mansfield Avenue.
Right, so you and I get that. How do you quantify that for the management company? That's my question. You and I get that. We can talk about what makes sense from a safety perspective, but how is that articulated to a management company that has to execute the O&M plan? That's my question.
No, it's an excellent question. We can work on language that can reside on site and is part of the onboarding and the training for that property management. I would argue that it could be a quantity-based evaluation, inches of snowfall occurring over a 24-hour period, if you will, as the likely trigger for materials to be removed from the site. We could quantify.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue, although this is not Concom, is gonna be site distance, trying to get out of there. But again, I would ask that your O&M plan be very robust in terms of trying to quantify it, and even perhaps the management company would have to come before us at some point or acknowledge receipt of the O&M and they understand what their obligation is. Maybe we can work that into a condition, John Thomas?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it too.
I was just going to say that we should have a condition for this.
Yeah, so maybe perhaps that the management company has to acknowledge that they have read and understood the O&M plan. Because I can tell you firsthand from experience that all these people are gonna have to move their cars, right? It's either gonna be from one side to the next, or they're gonna have to queue in Reservoir Street while it's being plowed. It's highly inconvenient. But again, I know it's not a Concom issue, but it's, I don't think this is ideal for snow storage. Okay, wall detail, and then what are you doing? You mentioned no touch at the 25-foot. Are you gonna put a split rail in, or what's your?
We were not intending split rail. It was our understanding that the commission could accept posts spaced evenly along the length of the 25-foot buffer. So not a split rail, but like a 4x4 post with a sign to the commission's preference, but not a continuous rail fence.
Okay, and to that point, I mean, the reason we usually require it is we've seen many landscaping companies dumping materials on the back. So to that end, I would hope that your O&M would also include provision. We would ask the management company to review and acknowledge about the removal of, landscaping, materials and debris and grass cuttings off-site.
That will be a standard staple condition in here.
Okay. And I think I have one more. So you mentioned Pat Brennan's doing a peer review of the stormwater design on behalf of the planning board. Does that include looking at the provisions under the Wetlands Protection Act and the stormwater standards, or is it just hydraulics? The system will work.
That's the whole caboodle. That's for conservation and
Okay.
for planning board. The reason why because Pat asked me when we first started this, I said, well, they haven't submitted anything to us, but if you could just take a look at the Wetlands Protection Act provisions as well in the stormwater handbook, that would be great.
Okay. Now, last question. I do have one more. Let's go to the sewer. You show the route for the sewer?
Well, we do, if you could advance 4 pages, please.
So my question relative to this is, have you walked both sides of whatever route? Is it going on, so have you looked for wetlands and buffer zone along the whole sewer route? So you're saying that you don't have to come in for a notice of intent for the sewer, or?
So we have walked it. I'm not aware of any wetland areas that would trigger us coming in front of the commission. If we identify them, we can come back and review it with the commission. What I would suggest, we are expanding the sewer within the right of way. So it would be a right of way based project where disturbances have already taken place. So we could, to the commission's preference, talk about whether an RDA would be a suitable filing if wetlands are found.
I don't think.
So regardless of whether it's within the right of way, we rarely have curbing in this town, which means that if you, cut a trench in, chances are it's going to the shoulder and into the drink. So can you scroll to those sewer plans? So you're including the sewer plans for us for approval along with this?
Yeah, so the plan that's on the screen, ma'am, this is obviously the site plan with the start of the sewer, which is on the right side of building B, which is the building on the right. And then if you can advance, scroll through the slides, please. So this is the extension of the sewer as it continues down Mansfield Avenue. And then if you continue onward, you'll see the sewer all the way down through the Library Square.
So I would ask you to make sure that I don't want to approve this sewer line unless I know there's no wetlands on either side of that road.
I drive this area quite frequently, and my understanding is that there are no wetlands. There's wetlands further north near the Wheaton's campus, but that's nowhere within 100 feet of the roadway. So I would be pretty confident to say that there are no wetlands within 100 feet of their proposed sewer line extension project.
Okay, are there any catch basins here, or how are we handling construction turn runoff in the roadway?
So the plans do show catch basins and the utilities along Mansfield Avenue. So part of what we are working towards with the sewer commissioners is the actual extent of the construction and what we're doing. And then we'll put together, pertinent construction related details, which include silt fence protection on those catch basins, silt sacks, etc., along the entirety of that length. So we will put those all together. The project in and of itself will seek coverage under the stormwater pollution protection, the EPA NEPDES permit process. So we'll have erosion and sediment control guidelines written into that as well. We've not prepared that document, but we'll have it prepared prior to groundbreak on either the project proper or the sewer extension.
That will be a condition as well.
So
that's fine.
Yeah, you can't start construction until we get a copy of that SWIP for review and approval. Speaking of which,
that's fine.
I promise this is the last one. Thomas, go back to where it shows the construction entrances, please. I forget which one it was. It was a
all the way
sediment control plan. There we go. Oh, that one. Okay, so you have two entrances. Although, so first of all, I would not recommend putting them all over where you have utility conflicts. First thing they're gonna do is say, I can't put the construction entrance there because I gotta put a utility in. So I would shift, that's just not realistic. I would shift those exits so that they're off of the drainage systems. And I would also ask you, so you don't have construction vehicles just cutting willy-nilly all over the site, is to put an orange construction fence or something along the frontage of this so that the construction trucks aren't just cutting in everywhere and they have to use the dedicated exits.
You could have perimeter fencing, my understanding is, right, with this project?
Well, just not in the front. I don't see anything in the front.
No, is that correct?
Well, construction fencing.
Yes.
Yes, we will erect construction fencing along the length of the project, the frontage, so it wouldn't be willy-nilly. It would be restricted and the entry would only be wherever the final stabilized construction entrance would be located. You know, so
Okay.
what we like to ask boards and commissions, perfectly valid point, is once we have the contractor, we sit with the contractor and work through all of those details and those refinements and the order of operations, and we home in and find those right locations. And we'll make sure that information is shared with the commission.
Right, so your SWIP will supersede this document. I understand the intention is here to show us that you understand your BMPs, but we'll look forward to the SWIP. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other commission members have any questions? So we can now open it up to both the audience here in the Winnicott room and anybody on Zoom. If you're on Zoom, you can do the raise your hand or take your mic off mute. So any questions here in the room? And
I have a question on Zoom if you can hear me.
we can hear you. You're coming out as Jacob Ginga, is that right?
Jinga, yeah, that's me. Did I hear earlier on in this proposal that part of it was extending the sidewalk as well?
Yes, that's correct.
Down to loop and connect along Reservoir?
Just to the corner.
To the corner
Just to
and
the corner.
returning onto Reservoir, yes.
And if I could ask where you live relative, is it nearby relative?
Yeah, I live on Mansfield.
Close or opposite?
Close, yeah. No, that was it. I was just curious. I have no other concerns. I just wanted to make sure I heard that right.
All right, any other questions from Zoom or anyone else? So where we stand, we still are waiting for the stormwater review, is that correct?
No, stormwater review's been completed for quite some time, if I'm not mistaken.
You are correct. So the stormwater review, Pat Brennan's review is complete.
Okay.
He appeared in front of the planning board confirming that everything is satisfied.
Okay, and, planning board is all set with this?
We're back in front of them next
Next week.
week.
At their next meeting, we were scheduled to be in front of them last week. We continued to start the discussion with the commission.
You didn't have a quorum, I believe, your
Oh, yes.
December meeting,
Right.
so
Yes.
the schedule got pushed back a little bit.
Right.
But we have essentially finished almost everything we need to present to them. But we wanted to make sure that this board didn't have any questions or changes to the plan, because if there were, you don't want to have them acting on one plan and you acting on another.
Well, and that's the issue, so I think maybe there would be an advantage to continuing until everybody's happy at the planning board, and then at our next meeting, we would close and potentially issue an order.
I think that would be a great plan.
All right, so at this point, if there are no further questions or discussion, we can consider a motion to close the hearing to continue the hearing for file number 250-1196 until January 26th.
So moved.
So moved.
I think you got a second there, Dan.
Okay.
Motion by Lisa, seconded by Dan, and Dan, Mark, and Joe. How do you vote?
Aye.
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 And Lisa and Courtney?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye, so, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time this evening.
You bet.
Thank you for coming in.
Next up on the agenda is a request for determination of applicability. It's number 1146, and it concerns 86 Mansfield Avenue. That is a site that is a couple of doors down in the direction of Mansfield. Produce barn on Mansfield Avenue, and it's on the same side. So do we have a representative of the applicant?
Yes, my name is Gil Rivero. I'm the owner of the parcel. And hopefully there's nothing
It's on his street.
I noticed there's no building on this.
It's very simple. I'm just looking to clear connection 55 feet. Put gravel down. Just make the property a little more appealing. And then mitigate any runoff from going into the reservoir. We'll do an 18-inch deep by 18-inch wide stone trench. And that's pretty much what it is.
And currently, I think you have, or you have, wood on the site.
That was 15 years ago. Baker's Landscaping used to use it as a wood site.
All right.
Since then, it's been the three owners and they all tried to
So it's a fairly narrow site, it's like a
Every country.
Like this thing in the center, is it reclaimed asphalt, is that actually there?
Yeah, it's just the driveway.
Yeah.
It's an access to the property.
Okay. All right, well, questions from anybody?
This was mostly administrative, just to, make sure that it's by the book and, I went out and verified the wetlands, so all the buffers and everything here are accurate. And Dylan had Mike Drobus come out here to do the survey for him, so.
Okay. And it just goes to the 50-foot line.
That's correct, yes.
Questions from commission members? Questions?
No, so there's no work proposed, right? It's just,
So there's some existing vegetation out there currently. So where it says the edge of gravel or edge of clearing, that's where the existing vegetation is.
And the trench itself will be somewhere in that.
Yes, yes.
Questions in the room? Questions on Zoom? And again, this is an RDA, so it's a matter of positive and negative, but we'll deal with that when we're back in our regular session. But for the moment, it appears we have enough information to close.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for file 1146.
Second. We have a motion by Lisa, seconded by Mark. So our list, we have Joe and Lisa and Dan. How do you vote?
Aye.
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 And Courtney and Lisa.
Mark, I think, but
Oh, Mark.
Aye.
Yeah, Mark.
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye. So more than likely a negative determination when we're back in our regular.
Nice and simple.
All right.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Dylan. Next up is, on my copy, it doesn't have a file number yet, or does it?
Yeah, it looks like it's 1197.
So, 250,
One-
11.
113,
This is,
113 King Philip.
yes, this is 113 King Philip Road. And it's for an addition to a house. Do we have a plan we can share, and do we have a representative?
Greg Siganowski of Brim Engineering, representing Karen Dalton, the owner of the property.
Go ahead, Craig, you have sharing capabilities, I'll let you share your screen.
Okay. Do you see that now?
We do. You'll
Yep.
have to pull it
Yes.
up a bit.
Do you see that okay, that right there?
We can, if you can enlarge it just a little bit, I think it would be good.
Okay, so it's the existing house, abuts the Winneconda Pond as their rear property line. There's an existing retaining wall that acts as the limit of the pond. Water line at the time we dug it was out some ways. The 100-foot buffer comes through the front of the lot. The existing house was built in, I believe, 1930 something. We went before the zoning board of appeals in order to have this addition approved. And obviously, we need to come before you. We're within the 100-foot buffer. We also have a floodplain at 73.4, which runs across the front of the property here. These three existing sheds, the currently in the floodplain, but there's no design to move them and there's also a garden here with a paved driveway that comes in with a walkway that goes to the house. So the intention is to addition in front, removing a portion of this wraparound porch in order to access. There will be no steps or anything off of the addition. It's simply a bedroom and an office that we access through from the inside of the existing house. And the intention here is the architect added one step up from the existing house into the addition. So it would be cantilevered sitting on these easy pier precast footings. There'll be 9 of them. And the existing grade, which is currently at 72.5 to 72.8, will remain as it is. There's no design to fill from that ground to the bottom of the addition. That way they're not disturbing the floodplain, not filling in any area. We do have sediment control as shown. It does drop off towards the wetlands, the pond. So we have sediment controls here, and we're also including a dry well to handle 288 square feet of the proposed roof area.
So,
That is the limit of the project. There is no grading proposed. The yard should remain as it is now, just like I said. As the detail shows, it will be sitting above the grade.
so Craig, I just need some clarification. So the 72 times 6, that's an elevation. That's not a dimension of the addition.
Correct. 72.5 to 72.8 is the ground in the area of the addition. The addition is 12 feet wide by 24 feet long. It starts 1.5 feet from the corner of the house over here. So to extend towards the street, 24 feet.
Any comments, John?
Craig, how are you making out with the building inspector?
He was at the zoning board of appeals meeting and was very helpful with this project.
Okay.
Obviously, it's a kind of an odd situation, but
Okay. I would just double check to make sure that you don't need a substantial improvement for FEMA for your client. So as you're moving forward with this.
Okay,
So, John Thomas, did DEP didn't ask about the quantification of alterations in the flood zone on the island?
Yeah, so I think even though it's set on piers, you still need to quantify the amount of disturbance.
Yeah.
Even though it's minuscule.
Yeah.
So whatever the circumference is of any sort of pier, you have to quantify the circumference and add that into the calculation for a floodplain disturbance.
What's the diameter of those, Craig, do you know?
well, the top was the detail shows the top is 8 by 8, bottom is 24 inches square.
So it's 2 by 2. All right, so we just want to see that calculation on here for occupational flood storage, times 9. Just to keep track of that as an alteration.
Okay. Yeah, there's area over here to account for any of the fill.
I think it's going to be very minuscule, if you want my opinion, the amount of disturbance.
Should be. Unfortunately, the best place would be where these sheds and gardens are, but we have room over here.
I think it's going to be a lot less than what we typically see for restoration needed. Do you agree, Lisa?
Yes.
I think just having it in the template and having it in the form as you're claiming it as disturbance, I think anything usually less than 100 square feet usually, I think, doesn't trigger it. Actually, I would say probably less than 300 square feet wouldn't trigger any needs for that.
Okay.
All right?
So this is a notice. Any other questions from commission members? Any questions from either Zoom or in-person audience attendance?
Yes.
Just identify yourself and where you live. And
I'm Mr. Butnick. I am Butter at 111 on the right-hand side. We share, if you don't mind scrolling up to the bulkhead there on the water side, we share that retaining wall. It's about 90% 113, and you probably have 5 to 10% of it. You can see that on the right there. That retaining wall is leaning into the pond, has been for over a decade, and there's significant sinkholes along the back end of that retaining wall. And my question is, what is the Conservation Committee's attitude toward that in regards to the building in that floodplain?
Is the retaining wall on your property or on your neighbor's property?
It's a shared retaining wall.
Okay, so my question is that the property line designates your own common ownership, right? So for instance, if the retaining wall, if you're having deficiencies with the, I guess, retaining wall that abuts the Winnacunnet Pond, you're responsible for the section that is on your property. And your neighbor is responsible for the section that's on their property.
Okay, so I have photographs and I can show you roughly on my property line, give or take, there is a break. My bulkhead or retaining wall is where it's existed probably for some time, and the rest of it is pushing forward. So in all reality, it's the majority of hers, probably gets 60% of that's being in towards, and there's sinkholes.
I would say that it's in the best interest of any, I will say this, and I stress this to everybody that lives on a water body, it is in your best interest as a resident here in town to make sure that your retaining walls are in good standing. Otherwise, it could cause damages to your property, and then you have to come in front of us, and it's gonna be a lot more work and effort if you wait later on to do the work than do it proactively. So that's what I stress to any resident here in town, is that if you have a deficient retaining wall, or if you have any issues with, some sort of barrier like that, I would come in and talk to me. I can come out, make an inspection. I can get you in good contact with some people that are good at doing this work. And because there's going to be some requirements for environmental permitting that's going to be required, and there's an opportune time when to do this work that will actually be benefit not to just the environment, but to you for saving costs. So
My concern is activity. I know the land itself is a mixture of clay and sand. So I've experienced some sinking on my property.
Mhm.
I can anticipate, granted, it's not a lot of construction that's going on, but I think any activity would create some vibration. And my concern, granted, I'm not an engineer, is that would fail even more.
Yes, I am not an engineer myself either, but I will say is that a lot of these retaining walls, like we just had one, we were talking about it with the core logs previously, that their retaining wall at 93 and King Philip has passed its prime. And one of the benefits of it is you can do a wetland restoration kind of plan to actually remove that and install it with more natural stabilization that you could potentially, manage better than a retaining wall over, 50 plus years or whatever however long that wall has been there. But I know a lot of these walls that are along Winnicott right now, they are in desperate need of some tender loving care.
So if that wall falls, I am only responsible for the portion.
You are
of my property.
responsible for the section of the wall that is coming from your property. Your neighbor is responsible for the section of wall that is on their property. It is in the best interest of you to make sure that you proactively fix it or resolve the issue in hand before it becomes another issue, because I'm gonna be honest with you, Winnicott Pond is a natural heritage area. You do not, I say this, you do not want that wall falling into Winnicott Pond, because then you have to go in front of natural heritage, and you don't want that. So I suggest anybody that has any issues or any deficiencies, take care of it, get some consultation, come talk to me, we can try to help you out.
Sounds good.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? So the proposed addition is a fairly discrete project. We do need the additional information of the displacement put on the plan. So we can continue, and assuming there's no further information needed, we can close next time and issue an order. Is that acceptable, Craig?
Yes, thank you. When is the next meeting?
The 26th.
The 26th of January.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing for file 250-1197 to the January 26th hearing.
Seconded.
All right, couple of milliseconds there. So I'm going to say motion by Lisa, seconded by Courtney, and Joe, Mark, and Lisa. How do you vote?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
And Dan and Courtney.
Aye. We may have lost Dan.
He's moving, still moving. Oh, I think we did lose him, but I'll throw in an eye, and I think we'll call it a day. Next up is file number 250 unknown, or did we get a file number?
That one has a file number, 50 Clark Street is 1198.
1198, okay. So 50 Plant Street for construction of a 4-bedroom, single-family home. And we're going to need a plan for that. When John returns, unless you can magically will it through his computer. Or are you going to be able to do it?
I should be able to do it.
Okay. And that's one of them, if you want to blow it up a bit.
Recording in progress.
You too, Nick.
We've traveled in time.
I swear it wasn't me.
Oh, now you're.
Playing around
That one
there.
was me, that one was me.
Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay. You sharing it?
No, I stopped sharing.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what are we doing?
No, I hit the audio button.
This was 55.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
It's the second one down.
This one.
All right, so first introduce yourself and then we can roll.
Perfect. My name is Josh White. I'm from JD Civil, representing our client Cameron Eisner, who's here in the audience as well.
There you go.
Perfect. So just a brief overview of this project. His family has owned this this property and the neighboring properties for numerous years. And this project started last year in May. The planning board approved a plan of land to kind of reconfigure the lots. So lot 1, which has the existing house, number 50 Clapp Street, that's the existing lot, and it's going to remain. And lot 2, which is the subject of this project, is technically an estate lot based on that plan, and it has just over 50 feet of frontage along the northern side of lot 1, and will have a proposed access easement through that property out to the back.
All right, is the room muted?
I heard that.
Yes. Well,
Okay, might just name you. Sorry, go ahead.
we
No,
hear you.
We're
but
good.
Do you hear us now?
Yes, now?
Oh, but I can't hear Julian.
How?
Nor can I.
Because we are muted.
Oh, but I heard Joe just now.
It's because you know what happened when you took ownership, you muted it, and I got signed out.
Yes, we feel your pain, but cherish the silence.
Can you tell them? You can get off mute or something? Am I still connected?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think I am.
Yeah, you put the audio up there.
Can you guys hear us now?
Yep.
Alright, so you missed that whole conversation. Wonderful. Okay.
We thought you were still out of the room.
No, I don't know why my thing was muted, but hey, let me just give you the short and sweet here.
Okay.
We've got a residential 4-bedroom lot project, right? And it's gonna be, the entrance is coming off of Clapp Street. There is a stream/wetland crossing, culvert replacement project that's gonna be happening here. I know that the soil exploration, for understanding whether the septic system is gonna perk has already gone through the process, so good soils out there, right?
Yes, very good.
So, they're here in front of us basically because they have to, replace a.
Can you
I think you,
Are we having issues again?
I think so.
Now we can hear you, Jim.
Okay, so I just heard, maybe it was Dan.
Yeah, it was just Dan, it's Dan Lane.
It's Dan being Dan.
Dan is blank right now.
So the only real impacts that we have associated with this project is the culvert crossing.
blame it all on me?
Okay, I will blame it all on you. The house itself is positioned to be kind of in the buffer zone partially, but that's mostly grading. But besides that, the project itself, I think it's gonna have its own it's gonna have its own well, right, private well?
Yes, there's a private well proposed
Okay.
for the back. The septic system, we submitted it with this submittal to both Concom and the Board of Health. The Board of Health is on board with it, just pending the outcome of Concom, to see if there was any changes to layout or anything like that. And, once the well is installed and tested, then the Board of Health would approve the septic and then construction would start on that part of it. But yeah, pretty much as you said, we're basically here for the driveway crossing, which is a big improvement, to what's out there. It's an existing 12-inch, RCP pipe that's buried, barely functioning. And we're proposing 2 18-inch pipes, which I believe handles 100-year storm, so it'll be a substantial improvement to that existing crossing. And we do have about 1,573 square feet of wetlands filling / alteration work associated with the crossing, and we do have an area of about 1,600 square feet of proposed wetland rectification area just to the north of the proposed driveway. Brad Holmes of ECR submitted a rectification narrative and plan along with this. So that's pretty
And
much.
can you zoom into the crossing? It's
Sure.
really hard to see.
Let me just zoom that in. Yeah. I think that's the best I can do right now.
Try another plus.
Yeah, hit the plus section.
I can't.
No, the other one, the one right next to it, that one.
Oh, wow. You
Yeah, just keep going. There you go.
Okay, all right, there we go.
That's as far as you can go. But
So my question to you is how much land disturbance are you thinking that you're gonna need for this project?
so in total,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I believe we're almost at 89,000.
Okay, so because you're over the acre threshold, unfortunately, you trigger the stormwater stuff. So that's where it becomes kind of a thing to take into consideration, which means your driveway and your house, anything around that, need to be accounted for stormwater. So I would just take a look at that, see what you can do for modifications. I'm not gonna want this to be the Taj Mahal of driveways, but I think you definitely need to implement some sort of stormwater management practices because of the threshold for exceeding the bylaw that we have. So I would just take a look at that in a little bit more detail and see what you can come up with for adhering to our stormwater management bylaw. All right?
So I have a couple of questions. The proposed wetland replication area, is there a planting plan?
Yes, there is. It was, I believe it was a separate attachment.
It is, yes.
Yeah, so it should go on the whole set of plans. So it shouldn't be a separate, so if we're approving this plan set and the plan set's gonna be included, approved under the order of conditions, the contractor should have it in a single place. So I would just ask that you add any details. I'm sure Brad did a planting plan.
Yes.
That needs to go on the set, always.
Yep.
So I would ask that you would add that and not just reference an attachment. And if you could zoom in again. So
Sorry.
what does that area look like that's scheduled for replication? Is it wooded? So for instance, do you have to cut down some mature trees to put that mitigation area in?
I'm not sure of, I believe it is wooded. I'm not sure of the extent of that as far as how wide the trees may or may not be in that area, but.
Yeah, so one of the
it is
things we
wooded.
look for replication is that you not cut down mature trees. So for instance, I would hope that the wetland scientist would have walked the entire length of this wetland to determine if there were any areas that were either degraded or lacked mature trees and identify, and it was fairly accessible. And that's the area we want to focus on for mitigation, not necessarily cutting down mature trees just to mitigate for the sake of mitigating. So, just wondering if anybody did that exercise?
My understanding is the last time I was out here was to monitor the crossing when they wanted to do the soil exploration. And I looked to the left and to the right of this crossing area. in
Yeah.
anticipation of any sort of mitigation needs. To the left and to the right is pretty devoid of vegetation. There are some interspersed, trees of a caliper, I want to say probably around 10 inches or so. But I would say that you could definitely make it work in that location that they've selected for the proposed wetland replication area. But that was me
Okay.
probably a couple months ago, looking at this area, so.
Okay,
But I think photographs and kind of just a drawing and rendering would definitely help on a plan.
Yeah. so, is that a one-to-one restoration?
Yeah, it's a little over, but more or less, yes, 1-to-1.
Okay, so I assume like it's gonna be like sweeping the room, right? We're gonna do the replication area first. And then we're gonna work back up to build the road and the crossing, because otherwise you probably won't be able to get down there, right? What's the grade transition to that area? I can't really see.
It's not too steep. It's fairly flat. It goes from the bottom of the page to the top of the page toward the wetland, so everything flows that way. And it's fairly flat in that area. It's not too steep.
Yeah,
Okay.
the contours are showing it
So we're gonna
pretty
to mitigate first, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, okay. And then are there any provisions for snow storage, or where they're gonna be able to push snow? Because what you like to do on these long runs, because I live on a 500-foot long driveway, is you want some relief, right? They're gonna push it to some extent, and they're gonna drop it somewhere. So you just wanna make sure that there's enough space for that along this driveway.
Yeah, we did. So we have a 12-foot wide driveway proposed, and I want to say the limit of clearing on either side is probably pushing 24, I would say, for a total width. So there is space on the shoulders for space to store the snow for the snowplow to push it to the one side or the other. And then once you get towards the end, they just plow it straight off the driveway. I think would probably be the best.
I think it looks to me like they have plenty of room to create snow storage areas if they needed to outside the buffer zone.
Right, I think that's what I'm getting at, when I can't see the buffer.
I think that needs to be investigated. I also would say that, we also want to make sure that it doesn't interfere with any sort of stormwater BMPs that are going to be implemented as part of this project moving forward. So I think, if you're looking at this, you have to take into account, obviously where the stormwater BMPs are going to go and where the snow storage is going to go. And those two cannot intersect.
What is the length of the driveway?
About 950.
And it's gonna be paved?
Yes.
So John, is the yellow line's the 100-foot buffer, so they may be hard pressed to find somewhere to plow that snow that's not in the buffer, right?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know how, we're not gonna police snow plowing, but I don't know how we're gonna enforce this. But,
Well, the buffer itself, does that prohibit snow storage?
no, but you don't wanna necessarily plow it into the wetland or
No, I
close to the
think,
wetland.
for instance, we're gonna have a provision in an issued order conditions that a certain distance from this crossing, snow storage be prohibited. So in either direction. I think that's what you're gonna wanna have, some sort of provision prohibiting that because that's directly where it's crossing. Then from there, you can build actual designated snow storage areas, whether that's in the buffer zone, whether it's outside the buffer zone. But I think, part of it is just figuring out all the complexities with stormwater management, snow storage, and the crossing. I think those are the three main factors that are gonna have to be ironed out.
Okay. So we would ask the applicant's representative to identify those then.
And then just one other thing I wanted to point out. We do have wetland posts proposed along the 25-foot, no-touch line, with the markers as required.
Can you show that location?
The black
Just,
box on the
it's
red
Yeah,
line.
so
really hard to read
it's-
this plan.
It's this red line here. They've got the posts all the way throughout here.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
don't know if they need to go that overboard, but for instance, that's at the discretion of the commission. I guess we'll have to see where the snow storage area is going to go, and then
Yeah.
also where the stormwater BMPs are gonna go to actually identify, something that's gonna be better.
And how much fill, I mean, it's actually not directly relevant to us, but how much fill is going on that house site? I can't really judge whether it's a lot or just reshaping of the existing grades.
There is quite a, I don't have an exact number, but there is a good amount for the septic system in the house.
Well, if you zoom in, what's the existing elevation? I can't read it. Again, too far out, it's kind of faint. So existing grade is what?
It's
94,
94 to about.
no, 90, is that 96? I can't read that.
And we're going up to 101, right?
Yeah.
So 6 feet of fill, Julian, and then it goes back down to grade. So they're bringing in quite a lot of material.
And it's probably, what, a 4 or 5 to 1 slope, or is it?
I think on the septic system,
This looks 31.
I believe on the septic system side, it's 3 to 1, and then kind of on the northern side where the well is, I believe that's probably closer to 5 to 6, I believe.
Yeah, it looks like the wetland side, you tried to steepen it up, thank you, probably 2 to 1.
Yeah.
Gets steeper, yep. Okay. A lot of fill, Julian.
Yeah, and I see a stone wall there in between the house side and the, I mean, that stone wall is going to continue, or is that actually just the tree line being illustrated?
No, this
That's the
here?
proposed tree line.
No, up at the base of the,
Oh, this is,
the base of the grade, that may be the tree line.
that's
Yeah,
the.
Yeah, that's the proposed tree line.
Seems like a lot of disturbance, right? I don't know.
Well, there may be, I mean,
Must be
depending
high
on,
groundwater.
depending on preference, you may want to change that contour a bit. First, to make it architecturally more interesting and maybe amenable to plantings. But right now, it's kind of like a pyramid, which may not be the most appealing design for the house site. But that's, that's way outside of what we do.
Yeah, it's almost like you'd want to put a perimeter fence on this side. But that's just me.
There's a proposed underground propane tank, is that, how deep underground is that?
I believe there is a detail towards the end of the plans.
Yeah, it's kind of right at the surface. I'm not sure why it's considered underground, why it's wanting to be underground. I mean,
I guess that's kind of my question.
I would,
There's minimum what, 6, does that say 6 feet? I can't read that.
6. Well, this is 12. This is 6.
No, there's a minimum 6 feet of cover.
Yeah,
6
6 inches.
feet of
Well,
loam.
you can see.
Yeah.
No, go over to the left, right there, there's a dimension. To the left of the 6 inches of
Oh
loam.
yeah, 6. No, it says 6 inches of cover.
6 inches of cover.
yeah,
Or used for vehicle traffic?
it's not anywhere near a road. I don't know what the advantage of burying that is.
This is very common. This is not out
Yeah.
of the realm of normal. This is.
Yeah, I think this is outside of jurisdiction anyway,
Yeah,
but,
it is.
Well, I understand, but it's
Yeah.
like, for long-term maintenance,
A 4-bedroom house needs that much propane.
I mean, to be honest with the commission, anything that's within this area here, the house isn't even in the project area.
Right.
It's just the crossing and some grading associated with the
Yeah.
house.
Agreed.
But
Okay.
the problem and challenge here is that if they do go over the threshold of an acre of disturbance, they have to adhere to the stormwater provisions. So that's the only challenge.
Okay.
So, all right, well, it sounds like to me that, for instance, I don't want to speak on behalf of the commission, but that there's some additional legwork that needs to be done on this project. Do you think 2 weeks is enough time to get that, or do you want to push it out even further?
I think we'll probably have to skip the second meeting in January and go to the first one, just so we can get it to you guys
Yeah,
in time. Like
that's
that makes sense?
February 9th.
February 9th.
So you're requesting continuation till February 9th?
Yes, please.
Any questions in the room or on Zoom? If not, we're going to go ahead with continuing the hearing.
I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing file. Oh, where are we here?
250, 1198.
250, 1198 should be February 9th,
9.
public hearing.
Motion made and
Second.
seconded by, motion made by Lisa, seconded by Mark. Lisa, Dan, and Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
And Joe and Courtney?
Aye.
And I'll throw it in aye, the motion carries, so thank you.
Thank you.
In the interest of time, we're gonna barrel through 4 sets of orders. Everybody enthusiastic?
Super.
Good luck.
So the first one on my pile is 13 Downing Drive. That was the installation of a swimming pool. We have the findings. Item 4 is highlighted in yellow. Then we have special conditions. 1 is highlighted. I think that's, there's more in the back.
Appreciate you guys coming.
And 37 is the in perpetuity. Oh, no, I guess it's more, it's, on completion of construction. So everything else in the middle is our standard set of conditions. Any questions or discussion about this set of words?
Thanks for coming.
Motion? Looking for, you guys are hearing us, right?
I'll make a motion to approve the order for file number 250-1194.
Second.
We have a motion by Mark, seconded by Dan. So Courtney, Lisa, and Dan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sorry, I was on mute the whole time I was making a motion, and realized it.
Oh,
Anyway,
I see. All
Happens
right.
to the best of us.
We'll call you John soon.
Well, that's not
That's
nice.
you, okay.
Not nice.
Lisa.
All right, and so I think that motion carried. I don't know, did I ask Joe? And
I'll give it an aye.
Yeah, Joe and Mark didn't get their chance to say
Aye.
aye. But I'll say aye too, and the motion carries. The orders for file number 250-1194 are approved as submitted. Next item is 61 West Main Street, that is the Honeydew site. It has, in special conditions, custom is 1 and 31. Everything else is standard issue. And 31 is pretty much standard issue, it's just the completion construction. Any comments, questions?
At this time, I am not on mute, and I am going to make a motion to accept or approve the order conditions for file 250-1180 as written.
Second.
A motion by Lisa, seconded by Mark. Lisa, Courtney, and Dan, how do you vote?
Aye.
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 Joe and Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
So Joe, you've been on mute, was that an aye or?
Aye.
Okay, I'll throw in an aye, so that motion carries. Next, is Bray Lane. Oh, Bray Lane is no, that's.
Continue.
That one. And 378 Old Colony Road, we have an issue, it's called Old Colony Drive, and there is none.
Oh, yeah, Old Colony Road. There we
So
go.
we gotta change that.
Oh, that's gonna get fixed right now.
Okay. And special conditions under, are 1 and 37 again.
Perhaps the mouse is a little slow.
Any other comments about, this,
John, is there any reason why this says removal of man-made debris?
Man-made debris? Because,
As compared to like.
oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, I will change
Any other
that
kind of debris?
to, I will change that to a different term.
Okay. It wasn't the gender thing, it was just man-made debris versus regular debris, I don't know.
I probably took that from an old order, I'm sorry.
Woman-made debris would be acceptable, but.
well, do we say anthropomorphic debris, or what is this,
Is it, what kind of debris is it? Is it?
I'm gonna say it's metal debris, so I'm just gonna put it
Industrial
in.
Revolution debris.
Yeah,
I
I will change that.
It's a 4 up top.
Oh, in here.
Yep, second to the last line.
So I'll make a motion to approve the order conditions for file 250-1193 as discussed.
Second.
Motion by Lisa, seconded by Joe, Lisa, Courtney, and Dan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
And Joe and Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye, the motion carries. We still have the,
The RDA for 86.
the RDA, I've lost it here, it is,
38 is for,
is determination 1146, 86 Mansfield Avenue. So, limited, work on the site, probably a -3.
Wait a minute, where are we?
We're on Mansfield Avenue, the thing that Dylan Ribeiro,
86,
Oh, okay.
86 Mansfield, not 0.
what did I say? Whatever, 86 Mansfield Avenue, 1146. So it's the one with the infiltration trench was being installed.
So we need a motion for a negative determination, a -3.
-3.
So
Okay.
So moved.
Well, we got competing so moves, so I think we'll go with Joe and a second from Lisa. Lisa, Courtney, and Dan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
And Joe and Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye, motion carries, and that brings us to the end of our long meeting. And we are ready for a motion to adjourn. Correct?
So moved.
Yes.
Second.
Motion by Dan, seconded by Joe, Lisa, Courtney, and Dan,
aye.
Aye.
and Joe and Mark.
Aye.
Aye.
I'll throw in an aye, thank you guys.
All right. Have a good one, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Aye.